I'm Suzanne Parker, and I am the owner here at Powerhouse Bakery, and we love to show you how to do healthy right. We offer all kinds of things, from savory as well as sweet. We are dedicated to gluten-free and super healthy. One thing I love to tell our customers is we promise to meet you where you are and help to teach you how to do the very best healthy for you. In addition to the gluten-free base, we also do vegan as well as keto, paleo, and even just classic gluten-free that would contain dairy or could be dairy-free. So there's a lot of ways we want to show you how to do healthy. And when we enter the newest kind of interest right now is keto, a lot of people are desperate for something sweet. And so what we want to do is show people how to do a super healthy keto dessert. So just to kind of update you, what does keto mean? A keto diet means that it's so low in sugars that it's forcing your body to burn ketones. So whenever I have a customer that comes in and says, I'm on a keto diet, so tell me what I can have for a dessert, and they have this panic look in their eye because they're dying for a dessert, the first thing I would do is ask them, are you following a strict keto diet? Are you measuring your urine for ketones? If they say yes, then I know that they've probably really been watching it, and some people see great results on a keto diet because it helps to lower blood sugar overall. Some people don't see an improvement in cholesterol levels, and some people do. So we have seen some improvements in the blood sugar, like I mentioned, and some people do great with weight loss. If they're not following it really closely, the chances of them seeing overall good weight loss is pretty slim. Because if they're following a true keto diet, in order to get the blood sugar so low, they're eating very little carbohydrates, which means out of those 3 macronutrients, if we take out carbohydrates, guess what's left? Protein and a whole lot of fat. So you have to be really careful. If you're going to follow a keto diet, you have to be really pretty strict in order to get the metabolic shift that happens when you're trying to make your body burn ketones. So the little menu that I want to show you today is sort of a shift from a traditional. People love cheesecake. And in all honesty, a traditional cheesecake doesn't actually have that much sugar. If you thought about it, what's in cheesecake, if you've ever made one, you know for sure. And so if you take off any kind of potential like cherry topping or stuff on the top, it's pretty much cream cheese, sour cream, and butter. And then, yes, there'll be some sugar. But when it comes to desserts, that traditional cheesecake isn't all that high in sugars. So it's a pretty easy recipe to change into a carb-free and sugar-free dessert. Especially now, because we have these amazing new non-nutritives. This one is Swerve, and so it's a blend. A lot of the blends now add xylitol, monk fruit, and erythritol. So notice that in those words, 2 of them had an OL at the end, erythritol and xylitol. Those are sugar alcohols. So some people do not do well with sugar alcohols. It can really upset your tummy, especially if you do a lot of them. So just be forewarned, if you try this and you eat more than 2 pieces of cheesecake in any small window of time, it could upset your tummy. So some people it does not affect at all, but others, like I said, it would. So when you're thinking about doing a keto diet, you definitely want to talk with a dietitian, and you definitely want to sort of experiment with some sweeteners in a small amount before you really delve in and start buying keto products, because we always want our customer to be happy. So what happens oftentimes when you buy a keto dessert is it's loaded with non-nutritive sweeteners, aka erythritol and xylitol. Monk fruit and stevia are those other 2 sweeteners. They don't end in OL, but they can still cause potential GI upset. Stevia is a root, just like monk fruit is it's a fruit, and it's been dried, so dehydrated, and then pulverized into a powder. So both of those options could be mixed in to a sweetener blend. So like I said, this one's a combination. So just be on the lookout for the different sweeteners. And those of you that know me, I've never been a big fan of non-nutritive sweeteners. But if you're trying to follow a keto diet, you definitely have to rely on some non-nutritives. So when I designed this recipe, I try to use as little as possible. So a cream cheese base is actually a really good one because it's going to be really using other flavors also. And another thing I put into this recipe is some really good flavor enhancers. So this one is sugar-free and it's butter rum. I also have one of these that's amaretto, and I also love to use essential oils. And anytime you can, use some fresh lemon and fresh lemon zest, and that will really bump up the flavor. And I always talk about this in my cooking classes, is whenever we're dealing with trying to go from good to great, go from healthy to healthier, we've got to make sure that we have other flavors and not just one profile, which would be sweet. We'd want to make sure we add in something a little fruity, or a citrus flavor, something that's a little wow factor, like, oh, what is that flavor? So I often will use fennel or garam masala, sometimes cloves. So all those flavors really interest the palate, so that you need less sugar to really make it an intriguing recipe. So this is a keto cheesecake. Let me show you what we've got in it. We're using 8 ounces of sour cream. We've got about 8 ounces of butter, and we've got our swerve, so there's that non-nutritive, and we have 5 eggs, and we have quite a bit of cream cheese. This is 48 ounces, so if you're buying the little containers at HEB, you need 8 of them, so quite a few. And we're going to blend them together, and we come up with this. So this is what I just blended. I just did these same ingredients and wanted to kind of show it to you in this state. What's really important when you're doing a cheesecake, whether it's gluten-free or keto or just traditional New York style, it's really important that all of your ingredients come to room temperature. So this, it's pretty soft, but it's barely considered room temperature. I even microwaved it a little bit, but it's so important because you want it to have this beautiful creamy texture, and it won't if you start with cold ingredients. So when you add the ingredients that are room temperature into your mixer, you're going to want to do it in stages. And like I always talk about, you want to make sure you blend each one separately. So the hardest one to get creamy, you want to start with first. So this is the most solid. This is our cream cheese. And so look how stiff it is, even though I did put it in the microwave just to give it a little help. We put it, of course you have to store cream cheese in the fridge. So we got to make sure that we keep it healthy, so you don't want it to sit out too long. We want to make sure that it's going to stay healthy, so you can't let it sit out too long. But at home, if you buy your cream cheese and then let it sit overnight, that's plenty. That's usually just enough. And then to give it an extra little boost, you can certainly pop it in the microwave for 30 seconds or a minute. So you see how it's a little bit lumpy, and if I were to add this in with my eggs, I would never be able to get it creamy and beautiful. So the first thing we do is we get that nice and creamy, and then we add in our other ingredients. So let me pop this into the mixer. So while that's mixing, I'm going to now break my eggs. So look at this cute little heart container. This is one that I use a lot for doing my cheesecakes. So I wanted to at least let you see it. It makes the cutest little shape of a cheesecake. Now this one that I'm going to deep pan for you has a springform shape, and that makes it really easy to deep pan. If you use a cute little container like this, you just have to make sure that you add lots of butter around the edge, and you probably aren't going to want to do a base, like a crust like I want to show you in this one. So there is my eggs. So I'm going to let those warm up, and let's check on our cream cheese. It's getting there, but look, there's still lumps in it, which is okay because it's room temperature, so it's going to really work out nicely. So in a different mixing bowl, I'm going to whisk those eggs, and I'm going to gradually add in my other ingredients into this particular mixing bowl, because I want to gradually add them in. If I were to do the eggs all at once, it would be really hard to get them well mixed in. So the next thing I add is the butter. it's mixing, let me show you how we depan. So with the springform pan, it's cool because when I release this little hinge, the pan easily comes off. In this particular one, we have a beautiful crust at the base. So we cooked an almond crust, and then we poured this exact liquid onto our crust, and it comes out so pretty. So I'm going to chill this, and then we could frost it if we wanted to, or we could just cut it as is. Maybe even put a little dusting of powdered sugar, but beautiful cheesecake right there for you. Okay, so here's our next stage. I've added the butter in, and so it's starting to come together. Look how still beautiful and creamy, even though I added in the butter. And again, I had to let it come to room temperature, but it turned out just fine. The next thing I'm going to do is add in the sour cream, and the swerve will be the last thing I add in after I get all of my fats blended well. Add in sour cream. Thank goodness for electric mixers. It would take so long if we had to do it by hand, right? But look how pretty this is. So as we're waiting for that creaming mixture, I want to show you what else we can do with this beautiful product. So look at these little molds. This is so fun. We can add this keto cheesecake into these little molds, and then we can even decorate it with a little bit of fruit, and it's so fun. These are fantastic silicone molds because you can just pop out your ingredient. So once it freezes, this doesn't even have to cook. We're going to put it in the freezer and you will be amazed. So what I'm going to do is just add in a little bit right onto the top and just wipe it right off. So it becomes a beautiful little molded bite-sized treat. And you know, at Powerhouse, we always encourage people to not only pick healthy and cook healthy, but also pick small portions. And so every chance I get, I love to show people how, you know, a little dessert goes a long way. So these little, we call them lemon pops, they're so nice. It's got a strong lemon flavor, and all we do is freeze them with maybe a little blueberry on top, and they're so pretty. So I'm just going to scrape off all the excess to the top and then add my little blueberry. So beautiful. You could use a slice of strawberry. You could even do strawberry and blueberry, and you know what I'm thinking, 4th of July, for sure. So let's finish filling our pan, and I'll pop it in the freezer, and then I'll be able to show it to you in its finished product. These little silicone molds are easy to buy online. They come in all different sizes. We actually use this similar mold when we do our donuts. And so it's the same idea, this creamy, easy to work with texture. We just drop into the mold and then we can pop them out without any difficulty. Slide it in. So I've put a fair amount of lemon zest in these also. But if you don't like the flavor of lemon, you could certainly use the amaretto, or you could just go a whole different route and use orange or tangerine. But the white color is what you want to keep. So if I was going to use a vanilla extract, for example, you want to find it clear because it would take away from this bright, pretty color. All right, so there we go. Adding in the blueberries, and I bet my cream cheese mixture is going to be ready to add in the eggs and the swerve. All right, I'm going to pop these in the freezer. All right, look how beautiful this is. So wonderfully creamy, no lumps. I love it. So it really does pay to leave it out in room temperature. Sometimes, you know, if you try to cheat and take it right out of the fridge and microwave it, you're still going to get hot spots and cold spots. So try not to do that if you can avoid it. That looks really pretty. That's just what we want to see. light and fluffy and oh so creamy. There we go. Okay, let's do our eggs, and then we're going to add that in for the last step. I'm going to just whisk my eggs here in this container. If you don't have a whisk at home, definitely invest in a great whisk. Every kitchen should have at least 3 sizes. Small, medium, and I would call this medium. I don't need much larger than that. That's a really good one. You want to be able to hold on to it well. And with the whisk, you want all those wonderful wires to do all the work for you. Okay, so there it goes. Perfect. I'm going to drop it in and finish up the mixing. Here comes the swerve, so the final touches. I haven't before, but I bet we could add things like cinnamon. That would give it an interesting flavor. And even some fresh fruit, like maybe some peaches. All right, give that another minute. And I'm going to show you one more item. Let's see if we can decorate our cake. So we're back in the cheesecake world. And now we want to add a little topping that finishes off its beautiful look. So if I wanted to use some of the cream cheese base, it's sweet, it's delicious, and it's the same ingredient. So it's kind of nice to give that as a topping. See how it's a little bit yellow when we cook it. So check this out. Same cream cheese base, I'm just going to add to the top. And I'm going to put it in the freezer, and it will be so beautiful, just as a final topping. This is actually for a customer. She's picking it up tomorrow, and this is about her 5th keto cheesecake. And so she's an absolute adorable lady, and I know when she calls, that's exactly what she wants. She orders her own birthday cake from us, and it's always this one. So I'm just going to gently get it to the edges, and I'm going to pop it in the freezer, and it will be so beautiful as it gets solid. And then it gives us a great medium if we wanted to add some of the blueberries to this top, just like we did in our little molds. So bring it all the way to the edge. And then maybe I might even finish it off tomorrow with a little bit of whipping cream around the edges to give it a little extra frill. Coconut whipping cream is fantastic because it too is keto, meaning that it's all fat, no sugars, and then I can easily add some sweetener, or I could just leave it plain. Coconut whipping cream is fabulous in that it tastes so good just by itself. Okay, so that's going to go in the freezer along with our molds, and we'll get to see them in the final product. Here is our mixture. So just like the first container, I just wanted you to see how beautiful and whipped it becomes. So it's the same recipe, but now I just want you to see it fresh. So look how pretty it is. Light and fluffy. It's going to fill beautifully into our pan. And so again, we could use those molds, or we could use a springform pan, and that way it'll be easy to add a crust if you wanted, or you could leave the crust out completely. And the way this beautiful pan works is when you take it off, it just slides right off, and it makes it easy to depan. So at the final stage, if you wanted to decorate it, you could. So I'm going to freeze these, and I'm going to show you the end product. So I'll be right back. Hey guys, we are back with our keto cheesecake, and oh my gosh, they are so delicious. So all I did was bring the little mold out of the freezer. It probably needs to freeze at least an hour. You don't want them so hard that you can't bite into them, but look at this. All I do was pop them out of the mold and put them on a plate, and they are good to go. Each serving of the little heart or the star is about 80 calories. It's got 6 grams of fat and 0 carbs and about 2 grams of protein. So when you're looking for a good little sweet snack and you're dedicated to eating keto as well as gluten-free and super healthy, this is the way to go. Enjoy, everybody.